Hello! I didn't see you there. And welcome to Flame On. I'm Brian. I am the, progenitor of this lovely mess that is Flame On. And I'm here to welcome you guys today for 10 years. It has been 10 years of Flame On, and I can't believe that I have spent a decade of my life talking to mostly a microphone and my friends, but also now to a camera. So welcome. And if you are not familiar with Flame On, let me introduce you. We are a bunch of gay or queer geeks, and we are always interested in discussing pop culture, trends, news. We review pop culture. I host an interview series with queer and allied creators of pop culture and other products. So it's like we really try to give you guys a queer perspective on pop culture over the last 10 years. And we do have podcasts every other week. And I also do this show on Mondays. So we hope you are enjoying this. We are going to introduce the rest of the cast here in a second. And if you have any questions for us, this is live, though it is being recorded. So if you have any questions, if you are watching live, please say hello in the chat. Ask us anything. We are here to talk about the last 10 years of our lives in pop culture and Flame On. So we would love for your input, and it would be really helpful. So let's start this off. I'm going to introduce one of the original co-hosts and co-creators of Flame On back when I first had this crazy idea 10 years ago. He has gone on to do amazing other things that I will let him talk about, but you probably are familiar with. It is the one and only Mr. Joshua Yale. Hello, sir.
Hello. Hey, congratulations on 10 years of Flame On.
It's exciting. And can you believe it? Because I can't. 10 years ago, we were at Gay Days, and it was a whole thing. So I want to talk about that. I want to talk a whole thing. I want to talk about that with the rest of the cast. So I'm gonna burn through these, but it would be a detriment to this show to not introduce the driving force behind this show for most of those 10 years, which is not me. My co-partner in crime and many things, host of Bears in the City, creator and owner of Bears in the City and Bear Bust and many other things. It is Pat O'Rourke. Hello.
What's up? It's Pat DeBear. I went from being the bearskin rug to now taking over the title of DeBear.
That's right.
Many years and many pounds have contributed to the bearness.
You did upgrade from Cubby to Bear over the last 10 years. I think that's fair.
I have.
Another person also dear to me and my life, and one of my co-creators of a podcast that actually preceded Flame On called Media Mess, not Media Meltdown, Media Mess. It is my brother, Jeff. Hello.
Hi. Long time no talk, guys. How's it going?
Sitting in his man cave with his arcade thing behind him, looking really dapper with his Papa. What is that? It's a Jaws shirt, right? Yeah.
It's the band Ghost. It's their little
Ghost
movie poster ripoff shirt series where they took Jaws and made a Papa shirt out of it.
I love it. I love it. Another also co-podcaster that preceded this of Media Mess, my dear friend and curling husband, Eric. Hello, Eric.
Howdy.
And we are thrilled to have all of us here. I think we have another special. Well, we have a couple more coming, but as everyone loves to do, everyone likes to be fashionably late. So we will maybe, let's see if Jared and BJ join us. We are still, I don't know, holding out hope that some of our original Flame On folks, including Eric and Oral, might make an appearance. Maybe. We're kind of all fingers crossed.
We'll see. Eric has been very quiet lately. I have not heard from him in a hot minute.
There's been stuff in his life, but I don't know. Well, you never know what'll happen.
Apparently, one of our guests is backstage waiting for her introduction.
Oh, well, all right. I will add her in. I did not see her pop in there. I think
she's doing a tip spot, ladies. Tip spot.
One of my I just saw it. One of my another OG Flame On, dear friend and co-conspirator back 10 years ago. It is Jared Guy Tunist. Hello, Mr. Jared.
Hi, can you hear me?
Oh, we can hear you. Lovely.
Beautiful. Cool.
Beautiful.
Oh my God, it's the dulcet tones of Jared.
Oh, there it is.
Can you put up a Christopher Lee avatar or something?
Oh, geez.
Give me
Yeah.
a little bit.
Yeah. No worries. We'll take your time. And yes, BJ, as always, is running fashionably late. I know he will be joining us shortly. I think Josh, the other Josh, the later Josh, decided.
Wait, there's another Josh?
Listen, there is another Josh.
Listen,
there's never
you were
another
never
question.
Josh on the show, so I mean,
That's true.
You were Joshua, and the question. So we'll just start. I know we have a lot to talk about. We have a lot of things that have happened in 10 years, but I want to just start by going around and just talking about either maybe, I don't know, something that Flame On has, helped you with, or a memory of our show, or something that came from our show. Whatever you like. Let's just start it out, and we'll go back through the same order that we started with. So I will turn this over to Mr. Joshua Yale.
Yeah. I mean, Flame On was a real, it's a big pillar in my formation of being a gay geek who works in entertainment journalism now. And yeah, I remember just, when as a gay person, you get into any hobby, really, there aren't often a lot of other gay people. So I was so grateful to you, Brian, that you welcomed me into this group of other gay people where we could just sit and talk about gay shit all day. So it was always a really fun time doing Flame On, and I learned a lot. It's probably the biggest thing being that you cannot walk into a Flame On podcast like unprepared. Well, that's not to say you can't just go off the cuff. Like, I know I see some of your faces. Or to say, if you're going to say, I don't like this movie or I do like this comic, you have to come ready to like defend it. Right. So it really sharpened my ability to like critically analyze things and like clap back. Yeah. You can't do like an hour, 3-hour long podcast with oral and not learn a thing or two.
Oh my God. Like, so right. And I remember some of those early episodes, which I think, Pat, didn't you like go back and find most of them and they're all up somewhere? Like maybe, what was the old,
so we were on SoundCloud at one point, and I think I have all of the episodes, and I think I don't think they're all up on like Acast right now, just because with Nerdy Show moving different hosting platforms, it's gone from like the SoundCloud days to there was something before Acast, but after SoundCloud, and I can't remember what it is. At this point, I'm just lucky I remember which like login I need to use and where to post it. But they are all there, and if because I know it is difficult to find some of the early ones. I had a dig for the initial episode. I forget why it came up, and I think you were talking, Brian, about doing the whole Gay Days thing and talking to the wet lube guy, and like how that was the first episode of Flame On, and we were talking about it, and I dug for it. It took me a minute to find it, and I found the Nerdy Show post where that episode went live, and I saw that it was June 1st and of 2011, and this was like 2 months ago when it came up, and I was like, oh my God, the show is turning 10 on June 1st. We need to do something to celebrate. And we had grand ideas of like doing a video montage and like have everybody send videos and posting that on our 10th anniversary. And life post lockdown, still current pandemic, has been kind of wonky for all of us and crazy and hectic. So we weren't able to do that. But this was one of the things we talked about. We're like, okay, it's been a year since we did our last like house party. We need to get everybody back together, get the band back together as much as possible, and talk to each other and talk to everybody out there. So I'm excited to do this. And again, so this is being streamed live right now. So if you're watching, I know Shipwreck is out there and posting comments. So thank you for joining us. And this will also be the audio episode that was supposed to go out yesterday, as opposed to when, like from where we're recording. But I did not have that train run on time because I knew it was going to be slightly delayed. So
it's understandable, and I think.
But this one's really special. This is special.
I want to share some of Shipwrecker from Matt's comments here. He's got all these great little emojis that I can't even heart and trans heart, and our dear friend Aphasia, her hype symbol. And Matt's been around for a decent amount of this, and somewhat through the Comic Book Bears podcast as well that he used to be a part of. But we really thank you for the happy 10-year anniversary, full year a full decade of celebrating LGBTQ2SIA+. Wow, that is a mouthful that I have never seen or said out loud. That is great. Content creators and stories. Ooh, I love it.
So
and yes, the sibling cameo.
Before we carry on, just in his honor, a little applause for you there. Wait, and then followed by.
Thank you. So for those of you who don't know, Pat hosts a game night on Twitch on Wednesday nights at I know it's at 7:00 Pacific. So what is that?
9 p.m. 9 p.m. Central, 10 p.m. Eastern. For right now, it will eventually, once I start my new job in July, I won't be working until 8:00 and then have a 40-minute drive home. So it'll be shifting again. But right now it is it's late night game night on Wednesday nights.
But we'll come back. I want to talk more about the dry guy, the you dry, and the original, like where Flame On kind of started. But since you got the mic, talk about your memory, or whatever part you want to talk about, because I know there's a million things, right?
Oh my God, there's so much. I was thinking about it today because as much as I've kind of taken over the reins of like hosting and all of that, I was like, I wanted Brian for this 10th anniversary. Brian had to be the driver for this episode. But I was like, okay, here he may be the driver, but here's some things we got to talk about. But I was thinking back on the last 10 years of Flame On. I've been a part of it for 8 or a little over 8, I think, was when I first was introduced and was part of it, because I think made my first appearance on the podcast before I was a part of the show. And that was at Gay Days, I think 2 years after the You Wet Lube conversation, as part of the Bear consortium, Bear Market that they were having at the DoubleTree. But since then, honestly, like getting the chance to interview really amazing people, like some RuPaul's Drag Race queens, like Detox has become a friend, and Trixie Mattel, and to be able to go to DragCon as media and as a press person and go and interview the UK cast in the press room, it felt like such a moment of accomplishment, in that we actually are like a media outlet, and that we are actually like, this is something that is real. And at that point, it had been years of doing this. But the friendships from the interviews and from reaching out and dealing with these people, like Ophira Eisenberg, host of NPR's Ask Me Another, the fact that like when I'm going to New York or like just randomly, I will just text her and be like, hey, what's going on? How you been? And, like to have those conversations and build those relationships out of this podcast, out of what ostensibly from what we see is just us getting together at the house and putting some microphones up and bullshitting for a couple of hours. Like Josh said, like we want to say an hour, but that never works out that way. But yeah, honestly, like doing the conventions, meeting the people and making the friendships from being that person who was doing all of the reaching out and booking like our special guests, that's probably the biggest takeaway for me from the last X number of years.
Well, I think that's scratching the very lightest surface, but I definitely agree that those have been some amazing experiences, and getting to talk to and meet people has been such a joy. Let's go down. I don't even remember, who did I introduce next? Was it Jeff? Oh my God, my nephew Henry is making a cameo.
Yeah.
Oh, he's like,
you want to show him your shirt? Okay, let's show him your shirt.
Come through Target Pride Collection.
Yes,
right.
Target Pride Collection. Yes. Hi, Henry.
So,
oh my God, he's looking so much like you, Jeff.
Thank you.
He's got a little bit
I still think he looks a little bit more like mommy, but people keep saying he looks like me too.
I see Melody. Yeah.
I see Melody, and I see Melody in him, but he's definitely, in the past few years, has definitely taken on more of your features.
If you have not started Sweet Tooth on Netflix yet, Jeff, have you started it?
No, but I was actually just looking at a thing about it.
It is creepy to me, and also kind of awesome that Henry looks a lot like the character or the actor who's playing Sweet Tooth.
Well, let's see. Henry,
I was like, oh my God, it's Henry running around with antlers and
let's see, where was
red
it?
flannel. So what I'm saying is, you need to do a Halloween cosplay as
oh, okay.
Yeah, I think you could totally pull that off.
All right, hey, you want to go? You want to go watch your show?
Actually, I don't like Octonauts.
Oh, you don't like Octonauts anymore? Oh, okay.
So,
I will-
Jeff,
Yes.
why don't we talk about Flame On, and if you want to, touch back to Medium Mess.
Well, oh no, trust me, that's an easy one because you see, from the ashes of the Medium Mess podcast was born Flame On, like a phoenix, or I guess more appropriately for the audience here, for a Goblin Queen.
Damn right.
Rising from the ashes. So my brother and Eric and myself, and even my wife Mel, actually, were all hosts at a different point on the Medium Mess podcast. And then one day, Brian said, "I have this other podcast that I'm going to start doing. So you guys take over Medium Mess, and I'll just kind of pop in and out when I can." As you can see, Henry is gearing up to play something on the arcade, or just wiggle his feet. So we ran with it for like a few more months, and then just the magic of the production just wasn't there like it was when Brian was steering the ship. So
in other words, none of y'all wanted to learn how to do audio editing.
Oh, I trust me. I still have Audacity. I still have those skills. Those will never go away. But then I started listening to Flame On and kind of saw what Brian had left us for, and the step up in all qualities, including production, including guests. I mean, we didn't have guests. We just had people bantering for like 2, maybe sometimes 3 hours. And then after how long was it before I finally said, "Look, can I please just sit in on the show? Can you please just let me just sit on the floor?" Because you already had Jacob for a brief period.
Yeah, we had a series of straight boys on the floor for some reason. It was a really odd thing. I mean, after it's derived from the bearskin rug, I believe.
No, it was the other way around.
The other way around? Oh man.
Yeah, Jacob was your straight boy on the floor, and then he kind of had filtered off the show, and then I would be sitting in on the recordings, and I became the bearskin rug.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and then finally, I remember it was Thanksgiving of, I don't even know what year, but I just remember it was like a Thanksgiving thing because we were driving over to the west side of town to meet family for Thanksgiving. And then Brian was like, "Yeah, sure. Yeah. I mean, yeah, you can be on the next episode. No big deal." Like I hadn't been like persona non grata for some reason for like the year prior.
So it's a weird thing for me in queer representation because when I did Flame On, so Media Mess. Oh God, I do this the opposite way, but I'm sorry. Media Meltdown. It's a problem. But anyway, Flame On was always meant to be, I don't see queer representation in podcasts. And there were queer podcasts 10 years ago. There just weren't a lot. And not like there are today. Today, we are in a golden age of queer podcasts. But back then, there was Comic Book Queers. There was like an X-Gays. I think they did a show. There may have been one other one that I'm totally... Best of the Universe, I think. That one. Anyway, there were like a few, but they weren't as prevalent. Anyway, so Flame On was meant to be queer representation. And so I had a weird thing for me in my brain about having anybody not queer on. And so
you had a weird thing. That's shocking information that you would have weird eccentricities.
Stop that. We're not divulging that. No. But no, it was weird. But over time I realized, I'm like, wait a minute, that's stupid. I'm being exclusionary. Why not have a straight, at least one, if not more, straight voices? And honestly, in retrospect, I wish we had queerer, not that we're not queer enough, but like more queer representation. I really wish we had lesbians and trans individuals. I really would have liked to have had more diversity, but it just sort of is the way it is as you evolve a show. You bring in the people will show up. Honestly, that's what it is. You bring in the people will show up, like Joshua. Honestly, I'll say this very, very publicly, and he knows this. I've told him this before. Joshua always was one of the ones who was so prepared and so ready to do the show that I felt like I had to rise to the occasion as a host to make sure I could be as prepared as he was. And it was never a shock to me that he would go on to do what he has done with IGN. Because of that work ethic and because of that discipline that he had as a show host and as someone who would do reviews of comics before and all this other stuff. So, I mean, like that elevates it. So, you find people will show up and do the work with, whether it's queer, straight, or whatever. So, bringing you on, Jeff, was obviously sort of a thing I probably should have done a lot earlier, but, it worked.
Well,
eventually.
and I can segue that into like saying what Flame On meant to me. That honestly, the topics that we talked about, like I remember a million different things. I remember the confrontational review of the original Guardians of the Galaxy film with Oral, and about how like initially I hated that film. I thought it was so stupid and all the choices they made, and Oral was not going to have that nonsense. And then to like the stuff where we had the podcast after the Pride shooting or the Pulse
shooting,
yeah, and just how that was a necessary thing for I think everybody just to talk out what had happened, and myself having like minimal contact with anybody involved aside from the group on the show gave me that kind of perspective. And then the whole thing about showing up, like that. A lot of times, especially through different parts of like what was going on in my life at the time, you know, professionally, kind of trying to find my way, and then like going through a lot of like changes and growing on like my personal life, showing up for the podcast was kind of that stability where I knew I could show up and just talk with my friends and family about geeky stuff, which is what I've always loved to do. So that I think has always been a very happy part of my last 10 years.
Oh, good. Yeah, I'm very happy to hear that helped. I'm gonna throw it over to Jared because he was also one of the OG Flame On cast.
Brian, I didn't want to like flag you down in the middle of Jeff's. I think we have another person in the green room ready to come onto the show as well.
Let's do it. I will bring him on, and then we will throw this over to Jared. It is BJ. Hello.
Speaking of being on time and showing up for podcasts.
listen, girl.
Hi.
You had to have that Wawa. What do you get? Like the sub there? What is this?
No. So I went. You know, I went to Taco Bell. So I went to Taco Bell, and their power was out. So then I'm like, okay, fine. I'll go to Jersey Mike's. Go to Jersey Mike's. Their power's out. So I'm like, screw it. I'll go to Wawa. Go to Wawa. I'm in Wawa. Car wreck right at the intersection, and I'm like, okay, whatever. I'll go around. Well, that meant me going down to Lake Underhill, up to Cimarron, and of course it's Saturday in Florida, so nobody's at
For
home.
those of you not familiar with Orlando's topology, those roads are horrible many days of the week. So yes,
I mean, granted, I could have totally left at like noon instead of like noon 50.
This is how you think. This is what you do next time. So we'll get to BJ in a minute because we're going to get everybody a shot. But Jared, I want you to talk because you have the best voice of all of us. You have the most dulcet, amazing sounds that come out of your vocal cords, and you are the most talented visual artist among us as well. And I would love you to talk about, Flame On from your perspective and like what you got out of this crazy experiment and bizarre mess that we started 10 years ago.
I have to say, I really appreciate just the time that you all devote to all of this, for lack of a better term, media consumption. I've devoted so much time to work as of late, and so I've not been able to kind of experience that joy that comes from just turning off and just sitting and enjoying something. And I'm unfortunately I'm still afflicted with this to this day, but I'm glad that Flame On is still going on.
Oh well, we miss you. I'm just gonna say that. I know that a lot of the times you were like, "Bitch, I don't watch the show or I don't read this, whatever."
I have very particular tastes.
I know, but the
Brian,
the energy that you brought to the podcast, like just even it was just like such a quiet like poise about you that it is still missed. So we do miss you, Jared.
I mean, I thought you were going to murder all of us the first time I met you. I was like,
you're not wrong.
He's got a nice
still
voice.
Time. We're not
and
dead
I'm like, oh, he's very charismatic. And I'm like,
me charismatic? No.
I don't trust charismatic white people anymore. That's just the way we live now. But I like how everybody's just like, we miss you. And I'm like, how many times have I run into you at the Chipotle near us? Like 3 times now.
Yeah, about 3 times. But that's what in the course of 2 years.
I think so. Whatever.
That's about right. So I do
That's
want
more
to
than
show,
I've seen you in the last 2 years. Then again, I'm in another city. So
I got to hang out with Jared when he was here in Seattle about what was that? Almost
that was me,
ago.
you, and Zan. Yeah.
And it was
Aw.
lovely. It was so
Yeah.
lovely because we got to go on a lovely little nature walk. And this was like mid-pandemic. Well, actually, this is like early to mid-pandemic.
Yeah.
And so we were all very safe and very careful, but it was still lovely to see somebody, since I had just moved here a few months prior, that from my past life in Orlando. But I did want to show these. These are flyers that we actually made. God, I don't even remember when we made this.
Go full screen, Brian. Go full screen.
Gross.
All right, hold on.
Show them all. Show the world.
No.
Jared is embarrassed by his early pre-evolved state, but let me tell you, I won't go too crazy. These are really cool, and I'm so glad I have some of them, because we did give out most of them at conventions for a while. And I mean, the original logo that he also designed before we did the revamp with Danny Haas.
Actually, I think, didn't I design that? 'Cause
Yes.
Did you do this,
yeah.
Josh?
Yeah.
Oh my
That's what I
God.
call the bad logo.
Oh,
I
no.
ran out of ideas and tried to make it look like an element block on the periodic
Yes.
table of elements, with like the
Yes.
big F, little O, and the pride symbol in the corner.
And Breaking Bad was popular at the time, so that was like.
But I will say, I don't know who did the redesign, but that is phenomenal, and I love it so much.
So the
That
art
was-
of Danny Haas. If you're
Danny
not a
Haas.
fan, you've probably seen his stuff. He does the split 2-character. A lot of shows will have his very characteristic. Anyway, I think he's been on the show, right? Has he been on the show actually?
No,
Pat?
we still have not
What?
gotten him on the show. We still
gotta
have not
fix
gotten him on
that.
the show.
Nope.
Maybe I'll do a rainbow spotlight with him. But he is
Daddies of
Orlando
art.
based and does such amazing good stuff. And it's at all the shows. So if you go to a con, go to Artist Alley, look for Danny Haas with 2 A's. Tell him Flame On sent you, because he will love that. And he's great. But no, I do want to come back to this, because this was the original logo. I think there was maybe one a little earlier than this. I don't remember now. It's been so long. But this was a great logo. I do love it still. And I want to read to you what this was, because these were like kind of ridiculous. The front said, "Our gay geeky podcast will make you blank your blank." So it was a Mad Lib. Yes. Yeah. Like, look at that. You can't. Yeah, my camera doesn't autofocus. So then on the back, we had Jared's art, and it said, "We like our men like Conan, Thor, and Jon Snow," to give you any sense for when this came out. So anyway, I really appreciate Jared has done some back when we started. Jared would do the artwork for each episode. So for many, many episodes, we had a Jared Pope original, and he'll never want to have these shown ever again, but he would do original art for every episode. I mean, this went on for at least, I think, Jared, I don't know, 2 years maybe. I mean, it was a long run.
Yeah.
And I mean, hopefully, admittedly, these are not pieces you're proud of now, but I have some of the original pencils, and they're treasures to me. But like, hopefully that was part of your creative growth, and having that project helped. I mean, we appreciated it. I know I did, because it was brilliant and way more than I could certainly do, throwing shit together. But well, anyway, I love that you're still around and willing to come on, because I know you've got a lot creatively that you're doing, and if when you come back to Seattle,
kill me.
So I want to go on to Eric, because Eric again has been there from so far back. Eric and I go back to the early 2000s, and he has been there for me for 2 podcasts now. He helped co-found the Orlando Curling Club with me. He is my aforementioned curling husband, because we used to be, I would say, inseparable, though certainly in the last 2 years, maybe less inseparable because of life.
Got away and.
Yeah, I mean, admit it. But listen, also you're a bond spieler in COVID, which I sat there and went, "Oh my God, no!" But no, Eric, tell me about your experience with Flame On. Tell me what it means to you. Whatever you want to share.
Before he does that, you know what he has not been? A Twitch streamer. Eric, start your goddamn channel. We keep promoting it. Just saying.
If you want to go follow Jen
someday
Eric,
it'll happen.
Yeah.
_games. That's Eric with a K.
I did the hard part. I set up the account.
That is very true. That is very true.
But no, like way back in the Media Mess days, living with Brian at the time, it was fun to just kind of sit in on the podcast, and I never felt like I had as much to contribute because I didn't read as many comic books and all that. But my time away from that, and then watching Flame On get started from a distance, and just seeing the success of it was great. And finally, when I was invited back to podcasting, it was nice to get back into the habit of, like's been said, you have to have a reason for your opinion. It's not just a simple, I like that movie, or I didn't like that movie. You know, it helped me verbalize and gain more skills in justifying my opinions. And now it's just a great time with everybody spread out all over the country to be able to talk to my friends on a regular basis. And that's what I like. And that's my favorite part of it now.
Oh,
so, I know. Tear.
I appreciate that. If you didn't see, by the way, you should go and follow Generic with a K, Gen Eric _games on Twitch, because you will be the first to know when he does his premiere.
Yes. Yes.
I do have a couple comments I want to go through, and then we're going to give Miss BJ all her due, because I know she's got something to share here.
I've got lots of opinions.
So, in addition to our lovely friend Matt, we also have one of the, I think, other than Rodolfo and maybe is it Luke? There's another early Flame On follower who I've corresponded with, Daniel Contreras. I hope I said your name right. Who has now founded since Flame On and was with us since year one. Oh my God. I love these OG Flame On people. Like, he founded his own Facebook group about queer Star Wars. And Daniel, you're going to have to remind me the name of it because I cannot remember. But every time it pops up in my feed, especially with Joshua and my connection to our dear friend Drew Leonin, who unfortunately passed away in the Pulse shooting. And then Joshua and then later other people tried to bring his light and memory up with either, the Drew Foundation or also putting Drew in Star Wars, which was a whole thing, we were championing and really just having queer representation in Star Wars, but in honor of him. Queer Star Wars has always been an interesting sort of intersection of pop culture and queer culture that has always been lacking in the official community, but in the fan community is absolutely not lacking. So I really am thrilled that Daniel is here and has been a part of the show for so long. Also, dear friend Dave Abersol, who is he is doing such amazing work right now with Dash, which, by the way, if you go on Comixology, I don't know how long it goes on, there's a sale for queer comics. So a lot of our friends at Northwest Press, a lot of their comics are on sale, and Dave's comic Dash is on sale as well. You can get the trade. It is a steal. I hope Dave, I hope you're getting the full money you deserve for that. It's not going to undercut your proceeds, but it is a fantastic series, and we love it, and we love Dave so much.
And who doesn't like picking up trade during Pride Month?
Oh my Lord, that is like
that's what I'm here for.
The elusive Pride trade that is
elusive.
Well, right now with COVID, at least for some of us in communities that actually think
you haven't been on
real.
Twitter. You haven't been on Twitter because throughout this entire pandemic.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah. So another, and thank you. Daniel also clarified one of the earliest Gay Geek anything online was the Angry Puppy series from After Elton. Absolutely, completely forgot about that. Whatever your thoughts on After Elton and all the things that came of that, that's yes. Yeah. Thank you for that history. And I was so excited. I love this, folks. I want to give them their credit. My dear friends at Media Meltdown, who I champion and try to up their bandwidth as many times as I can, because they are the most amazing queer couple, roommates, whatever they want to call themselves, drag performers in San Francisco, if not the world. And they are absolutely in the spirit of our podcast, Flame On, and the queer intersection with culture. And that is what Media Meltdown does. And Piranha, the co-host of that, and does their own amazing live podcast live stream called Cannon Fodder on Thursdays I think it's twice a month. If you have not been to Media Meltdown, I don't know how you haven't, because we share it all the goddamn time, but it is so worth it. Everything they do is gold. Please go check out our friends at Media Meltdown. And then one more comment. And I swear we're gonna move on. Daniel, yes. Yes, we did keep calling you Rodolfo. I know.
I kept on doing it.
This is the thing. You guys go so far back that in our brains you've merged. But the thing is, I have met Rodolfo. I know he is a real person. Daniel, I have never met you.
I was saying,
I know
Rodolfo,
you exist.
Didn't we run into Rodolfo together at TBRU?
Yes, in Dallas,
Yes.
which I believe is where he lives. But yeah, Daniel, if you're ever in Seattle or you're at a show that we're going to be at, please, we would love to meet you because you are one of our fiercest and longest term supporters, and we really appreciate everything you do. May the fierce be with you. If you're just listening, you're not seeing or the comments. That is on Facebook. Go look them up. It is a great queer Star Wars group. I really, really am proud of him for starting it. Hopefully I got your pronouns right. Thank you for being a part of Flame On. I really appreciate it. And we appreciate all of our fans who don't talk ever, who never tell us they're listening until we find you on Growler and you go, "Oh, I know you from Flame On." And you're like, "What? You listen?" Like, it's always a sort of a magical moment when we encounter a Flame On listener in the world because we don't hear from most of you, honestly. So
it's happened to me on Growler a couple of times. And then Terry Bloss, who was on the Rainbow Spotlight not a few months ago when I went to DryCon New York, the first year they had, I think it's 2017. I ran into Terry at his booth and I was like, "Oh my God, we do a Gay Geeky podcast. We'd love to have you on." And he's like, "Oh, Flame On, I listen to you guys while I'm drawing." And I was like, "Wait, what?" It's always so good. It's such a little like boost.
You think that you're going to be annoying. I know, because I've done this too with other people I've met. You think you're going to be annoying by saying, "Oh my God, I love you. Thank you for doing the show." I never get tired of hearing that. So please don't ever feel like you're annoying at all, ever. You are more than welcome.
Yes.
Yes. We need the beast. We need the validation. Even though I am 45, almost 45 years old, I still am a millennial at heart. I need the validation. I need the fucking trophy. All right, BJ, I know you have been very patiently waiting, and I know you are of, I think, all of us, you're the most recent addition, right? I don't remember if Eric was brought on or you. I don't remember who came first.
I'm pretty sure Eric. I mean, Eric was there at the recordings. Like, he was always there. And I think it was before, like, so there was like a weird time where who do I keep getting? Because I thought Eric had a brother that I would always see him with at P House. Was it Robert?
Robert.
Yes. Yeah. So first, I met Eric at Barioki. And for the longest time, I thought that was his brother. And I can't remember what night it was. It was some night where people weren't wearing shirts and y'all were like leaning on each other. And I was like, I've seen this video on the internet and I'm pretty sure this isn't supposed to happen in Florida.
Girl, you're not even half wrong about that. I was trying to point out the Shade fan and I don't have one. So we're going to have to go with the Barry.
No, but you got the Bear Bus fan. So yeah.
But no, I'm just going to say we were there at the same time, but I'm pretty sure Eric was like hiding in the shadows before I came on the show. But originally, Brian had the was it the Gay and Geeky Orlando Facebook group?
Well, so yes, let's talk. I mean, we'll get into that if we want. But there is a Gay Geek Orlando group that our dear friend Zach actually now maintains. Oh, yeah. There was a group of us that we brought people in and
and so Brian the fool that he is gave me like admin access to post more videos and stuff on it. And I impressed him, or either that or he was that desperate for cast members at the time. Because he asked me to just be on the show, and at the time I think we were just doing it once a month. We had kind of like, it was almost set up like a news docket. I don't think I had ever met you, Joshua. They would always talk about you, but I was like, who are they talking about? I would just
good things, I'm sure.
I would act. It was mostly oral cursing your name for not taking him with you.
Fair.
But Oral did the same thing to Jared and Jeff and literally everybody else. So
that sounds about right from Oral. Okay.
And I don't. And so he brought me on. I'd known Pat for years, ever since we had met in my roommate's living room and sat there in silence for like the whole time I was playing Bayonetta. And I was like, I don't know who this is. I was like, is this a trick? Is this? because I was fresh out of college, and I was like, I don't know how to interact with people. And then I remember meeting Jeff at like, I think it's like my third or fourth recording. And it was funny. Right. It was hilarious because I didn't realize until you and Brian interacted, I was like, who is this dude? And then I was like, oh, they're brothers. Okay.
Though, complete opposite. Like some people have come up to me, have never met me before, but only know Brian. Go, are you Brian's brother? Like, what the fuck? kind of Sixth Sense bullshit is this?
And then there's my favorite moment of all when I first met Brian at Karaoke, which Pat was hosting at the time, and I was like, who is this guy that looks like my friend Mike? Like, I was like, and I don't even remember when we actually started like talking, but like I remember we would interact sometimes at karaoke and everything, and then I don't even think you ever even mentioned you had a podcast either. Like that was just one of those things where
I'm the worst at talking about my own podcast, quite honestly. I will say this. The Flame On problem has always been we are not good at promoting ourselves. We are great at promoting everybody else that we ever interact with, including our dear friends, but we do not ever promote ourselves. It is a weird blind spot for all of us.
But no, Pat had mentioned it. I think you had mentioned it at karaoke where you kind of advertised it a little bit, much to the chagrin of Oral, because Oral would be there and you'd be like, Oral, aren't we in a podcast together? And I was like, and it was funny because you'd asked me to be on, and I remember I found it on like SoundCloud at the time. This is like pre-Spotify. So I remember I had queued up like 3 episodes to listen to, and then I just didn't. And then I just showed up acting like I know what I'm doing. Sure, I know about things. And from there, it was like a wild ride because like with Pat acting as producer, we had tried all these different things. And like my favorite was the loaded dice, where all of us played it like a quick D&D campaign. But none, like other than Brian and me, nobody else had played D&D.
No, that was my first time.
That was your first time too. So I was like, and I'm sitting there like, I'm gonna get drunk. And then everybody's like, we don't know how to play. And I was like, I'm gonna try not to get drunk so everybody can figure out what to do.
We got so drunk. Isn't that right after? Didn't we do the other episode where I got
we did that before.
It was a separate one because we did a live that was aired live to YouTube. It's horrible audio. I don't think like there was still like in the early days of us trying to do any type of streaming, but that does live on the YouTube channel as well.
Loaded Dice was a fantastic idea that our friend John Hex Carter, I don't think ever got enough due for, but it's basically like pint glasses, shot glasses, highball glasses with like gradations, and it was your roll. So you would chug until you got to your roll, and that was the number that you would have otherwise rolled with the dice.
Oh, this wonderful.
And we did this brief campaign. I think Jared was there, and BJ, and myself, and Pat, and I don't remember.
Oral was there.
Oral was there, and yeah, we got like I know I was wrecked because I was trying to chug a high roll, and it was not a good idea to use liquor. You don't remember this?
Because I am a seasoned D&D player.
Yeah, well, I don't think Jared was there.
Jared wasn't there, but let's talk about another thing real quick. 40 gay. Oh, there it is. There it is. I've got some still somewhere. So 40 gay is a thing that Jared proposed years and years years ago.
Like many projects, I never followed up on it.
It's all right. But you know what I still have, Jared? I still have I believe, I got to find it, our dialogue
duet,
that you and I, we like did a little mini role play thing. And it
where
was
I
like
voiced Garrison Keeler too as the DM.
It was, if
you never heard that it didn't come through because now he's canceled and
just
all of that from our history.
Yeah. But no, I really, 40 gay is certainly something that, I mean, we had Joshua, who is going to be this sex robot that got fucked sentient. You're shaking your head here, but I know we talked about this.
What is this?
Wasn't this a Quibi show? Isn't this a Quibi show?
Yes, it premiered and then exited just as fast as Quibi.
Just like
Poor
Quibi. Yeah.
Quibi.
It never went past the planning stages, but 40 Gay is a legend that someday, God, I hope somebody revives. It was based on, was it 40? Was it the, what's the
Warhammer 40K? Yes.
Warhammer 40K? Yeah.
Yes.
So someday it'll come back.
I
If anyone
remember,
wants to start a
it.
D&D campaign, because I have friends. In fact, I have one here down in Tacoma that does Break the Table, and it's a streaming. There's lots of this streaming D&D campaign. And it'd be fun. I'm saying now. Well, I'd say now, but now everybody's going back into the real world. But you know what I mean.
Yeah,
it'd be fun to do if we want to keep the stream, fresh.
It's always a fantasy to just go into like a hyper masculine dystopian future, and
so you just mean the future, right? That's
I was gonna say.
the current, the present, right? Yeah.
We're slowly moving into the Handmaid's Tale. So,
So, I don't
all right.
know.
Well,
Yes.
before we continue on, it's time for a live ad break. Because unlike other podcasts, we do all of our ad breaks live, and I usually fuck up something during my reading of our ad break. So for those of you watching on the live stream, if you've ever watched, I don't think we've ever actually done a live ad break when we've done a live stream before. We just kind of go through, and then I will insert just where the ad break would be if there is an ad in the middle of our show. But because it is the celebration of 10 years of Flame On, we're going to do this live. And I and the rest of the crew here would like to thank you all for watching this episode if you're watching it live, or if you're going back and you're watching it on YouTube or Twitch, if it's within the time that it's up still on the stream. But if you would like to help support Flame On, there are a variety of ways you can do that. The first is by going to our website. I'm not calling it our brand new website anymore. It's been a few months, so it's not brand new anymore, but it's our newly improved website. And that is at flameonshow.com. It has all the ways that you can follow along with us, either by watching us on Twitch, even if you just subscribe to Eric's channel and it never does anything, like me. And BJ's channel is there as well. Brian's channel is there. You can watch all of our Rainbow Spotlights on Monday night when he does those live on Twitch. It also has our YouTube channel. It has our Rainbow Spotlight series. There's a video playlist right on the website, so you can watch them without ever having to leave the website. It also has where you can listen to us on all of the different podcast platforms, as well as our Linktree and our Threadless shop. You can buy cool Flame On swag. If only we had Flame On swag on us. Well, during this live stream.
Right?
Wait.
Oh, wait.
Yes! Holographic stickers!
I still owe a few people. I
was going to say, because I don't have a holographic sticker, motherfuckers. I think I have a...
I owe Joshua, Pat, Jeff.
I have an OG Flame On sticker on my laptop. I'm not going to... If I move my laptop, I'll probably fuck up my entire thing, so I'm not going to do that. But I have an OG Flame On sticker.
I need an eye patch now of this. Absolutely. I must.
Hypermasculine dystopian future.
Flame On eye patches with spikes.
But they're sparkly, so it's a little less hypermasculine.
We're like overlords, and that's our identifier is somewhere on our body there's a Flame On patch.
We have real depth perception problems, but we're the overlords.
Yes. I mean, it happens. Those who can't, overlord. It's good. So there is Flame On swag. There are shirts, there are masks, there are phone covers, and I think there's even a shower curtain. I think just for fun, I did that one. But there's a whole bunch of swag on our Threadless shop. And another way that you can help support us is by becoming a patron at patreon.com/Flame On Show. Brian's typing in these links as quickly as he can as we go. But what we have been talking about forever, I know it's been a couple of months, but I told you that they were going to be here in time for Pride Month, and they are. We have new tiers that we have announced that are up on that are now live on our Patreon site. We are going to be retiring our original 4 tiers. Those tiers will be inactive July, August, on September 1st. So if you're a current patron and you have not chosen a new pledge level, then you will just go to an inactive status. You'll still have access to some of the stuff there, but you won't be assigned to a tier, so you won't get any of the new stuff, the new hot
the
things that are benefits and swags and thingamabobbies in the new levels until you choose a new level. I do want to give a shout out to Zach Deer. He's now Dak. He has chosen a new level. He is upgraded, and I believe I'm so mad now because it's either Rodolfo. I think it's Rodolfo, not Daniel.
I don't think Rodolfo's real. I don't think that's a real person. I think
we have pictures with him. We took selfies with Rodolfo. He is real.
Don't believe it. I feel like it's some sort of like parasite that's like living in your minds, and the moment we start to talk about him as like a real person,
so this is Among Us now. Is that what we're doing?
Yes.
Yes. Rodolfo is sus.
He's very, very sus. Were you in the engine room, Rodolfo? I don't think you were.
I saw Rodolfo vent. I saw him vent. So I'm trying to see if I can see it real quick. Yes, Rodolfo and Zach have both chosen new tiers, so they are now set up with some of our new Patreon tiers. So what we're going to do is, as part of our, this is where the future is going with Flame On, this is what we're going to do. We are going to do a little reading of our levels, and I'm going to kick it off. BJ, do you have the document up?
You didn't give me access.
Girl, let me start.
I did.
Wait, do you want BJ to read the first one?
I clicked on the link and it says no access.
I know, but then I gave you access.
Oh, now it does. Okay.
There you go. You whore. I'm keeping up with my phone. If people are watching along, they're like, why is Pat not watching?
You come to the podcast prepared.
Was that a thing?
Yeah, because you weren't here when we started.
Oh my God, Tears for Queers. That is
come to
Daniel.
The
that
on
is
time.
That's fucking golden, Daniel. Golden. All right, BJ, hit us with our first tier.
The sad tier of a clown. This tier, with the name inspired by our honorary guest host Ginger Minge, you'll be helping support Flame On, and that tier is one happy tier, as we are thankful for your patronage and continued support. And with that one, you get a social media shout out and our undying love. And it's truly undying. There's no way to kill it. I mean, maybe you can cut off its head. We are the undead and undying. And we're deadites. Deadites are vastly superior, so our undying love is a deadite infection. So enjoy.
Yeah.
And with any of these tiers, if you want us to tag you on social media, make sure that you let us know what your Instagram or Twitter handle is, and that way when we post it to our social media, we'll be sure to tag you to show our support and maybe send some extra love your way on social media. Eric, do you want to take so that's our $1 level. We have our $4 level. You want to take it away?
Sure. The next level is the Fantastic Four. We'd be nowhere without our fans, and because of that, we wanted to build a level with perks and bonuses that any fan would love. Welcome to the Fantastic Four. For your support, you'll receive these benefits: a social media shout out, be celebrated on our social media platforms, an on-air shout out during our monthly roundup episode, BJ's totally personalized but also completely random horoscope, an on-air reading during our monthly roundup episode, a sip of tea, a monthly reading from the Shade Tree with Oral, Why So Spicy, a monthly take on life, love, and the weird with BJ, a personal invite to the Flame On Funhouse Discord server, and of course, our undying love.
Dead by Dawn.
So that's our $4 level, and like I said, Zach is our first patron at that level, so he's going to be getting a totally personalized but also completely random horoscope from BJ. Brian, do you want to take 6 or 10? You pick.
I'll do cease. Cease.
The
Cease.
words.
Easter 6, right? They say it right? They did too many C's. Easter? No.
What
That's
are
too
you?
many C's.
Are you a jalapeno on a stick? What is
Easter
happening?
on a steak. Yes, Easter 6. Okay.
Sissy. It's our sissy sir. It's like
CC
sissy.
oh, thank you. Star. So I had the right number, right? C. Anyway, fuck it. What's better than being a fan of our show? Being a good sissy, of course. Take your love for Flame On to the next level and bring this full tier of goodies and some brand new swag. So for this support level, you get everything we've already talked about, including podcast nuggies, a micro episode exclusively to Patreon. You get to pick the topic, choose from a selection of topics for the cast to discuss on an upcoming microsode. First, listen to new episodes. We put the commercial-free episodes up on Sunday before they drop in your favorite podcast player. An exclusive Flame On postcard, which I'm very excited to see, mailed directly to you. A digital copy as well, of course, in your email. And as always, our undying, eternal, necromantic, I don't know, what love, whatever that is, the undying thing, you know.
Dead by Dawn. Join us.
Yeah.
Join us.
That is our first physical swag that we are giving away is our postcard. We are in the process of getting commissions done, and we're going to design a postcard that will be mailed out. And if you choose not to have physical mail to your home, a digital copy will be sent to you as well, so you can have that for digital eternal keepsake. So be sure to let us know if you would like the physical copy mailed to you, and we will. But I'm excited to see Flame On swag get mailed out. All right. And our final tier, this is the $10 level. It is the House of 10 or the House of X. And this is it. There's nothing better than being part of our chosen family. And at this level, we will officially have you join the House of X. Come to Mother Darling and collect your trophies. Perks. So you're going to get everything that the boys have talked about before, and including these lovely extra perks. You get an exclusive, limited edition, one-of-a-kind Flame On enamel pin. And let me just tell you, the mock-ups are stun.
I absolutely
gorge. I am so fucking excited to get these pins made and have them sent out to our patrons and us, because we're getting them also, because
Hell yes. Yes,
that's how
all
it do.
of it.
That's how it do. And I would just like to give a shout out to Danny Haas for some of the inspiration. Not only is it his design that he did that we commissioned from him, but some of his pin work has also inspired some little extra bits that we are doing with our pin. So thank you, Danny. So that pin will be coming out. And then just as a heads up, with the pin and the postcard, it will be after 3 months of your support at that level, just because it takes time to get things produced and made, and then they will be shipped out. So don't expect it right away. And it is a one-time perk with that tier. There may be things that come up, maybe some variants that come up that we'll send out as well as, down the line. But those will come in a few months.
And by variants, we mean misprints. So yes, that's
well, there
Special
may be
editions.
shiny.
there may be Pride editions that eventually come out. There could be other things. We'll call it. It'll be like Flame On Community Day, where maybe you'll find a shiny variant of the swag in your mailbox. You never know.
You might find a shiny Pat hiding in the bushes.
Right? There's a little Pat Rat. He's shiny. It's fantastic. And then finally, and this I think is probably one of my favorite little things that we decided on, and special guest star, where you will join the boys as guest host on the show, one of our roundups. You will be a guest host. You will get to join us in the recording and be a part of the conversation. So check out our Patreon, patreon.com/flameonshow. And if you would like to support us, then choose one of those levels. They are listed as new tiers, and the other ones show that they'll be being retired on August 31st. So just take a look at those and feel free to subscribe. And then you can check us out on our social media at flameonshow.com.
brought to you by Skillshare or whatever. WeWork. Oh my God. Has anybody else watched the WeWork documentaries?
No.
There's one on Hulu and there's one on Netflix that's part of another series. If you have not heard about WeWork, go look these up. They are fascinating. It is amazing. Anyway,
Now, actually, here's my question when it comes to the new Patreon stuff. When are we doing Eric's spoken word album? And when are we also doing our calendar?
Oh my God.
Because we still need to do a calendar.
Those should be stretch goals.
It needs to happen.
I think that's the wrong system, but you get the idea.
I was gonna say, is it like when we send messages to our followers and they can unlock it for an extra like $15? Oh wait, no, is that OnlyFans? My
That
bad.
sounds dangerously like OnlyFans, and I'm totally
God.
here for a flame on OnlyFans. Like,
We've talked about it. No, we had that thing where there's a game that's like got sex in it, so you can't stream it on Twitch. And I was going to set up an OnlyFans to
right.
stream that.
You were asking about that in our personal group chat, and I was sitting there like, where could you?
It's a thing that might happen in the future. We'll see. But
I totally
want to
do that
go
on OnlyFans.
We have more than paid our keep for this. I want to go back around. I want to talk to any and all things from the last 10 years that you like. If you had to pick one moment, and it could be personal, it can be cultural. What is that one moment for you in queer pop culture that really changed everything?
One moment in time. I had to do the Whitney. Oral isn't here. I had to do it for him. Okay,
that's fair. That's fair. So we don't have to go back around in the same order. I feel like who's got that thing that they know without even thinking. Oh, it's this moment. Like, tell me, somebody tell me what that moment is. Jeff.
So, Hannibal. Hannibal to me was like that show that I started out watching because I liked the basics, like the basic story of like Red Dragon and everything in the book and everything. And with Hannibal Lecter, I did not expect at all to start shipping hardcore Hannibal and and what the heck is his name now? Will Graham and Will Graham by season 3, by the finale of season 3, that last moment when they by the end of it, that was like,
that's the toxic relationship I want right there. Top tier. That is the top tier toxic relationship.
You want a
mutually assured
boyfriend
destruction through passion.
You want a boyfriend that will drug you so bad that you think you're seeing a clock. You can't draw a clock anymore. You want a boyfriend that will convince you to be a serial killer and eat people. That's what you want.
100%.
Did you break into BJ's house and read his diaries? That's not right. That's not right.
I don't even need to do that. That's the sad thing.
But honestly, though, like, I love the fashion sense from that show too, and the design aesthetic, especially when I had not seen Brian Fuller. I had known him from Pushing Daisies and from Dead Like Me, but I had never seen him in person. But I saw Hannibal Lecter in those fantastic suits. And then you see Brian Fuller in any kind of like public appearance, like, oh, he's dressing Hannibal up as himself. I want all those suits.
He's dapper, for
very
sure.
dapper. So yeah, that was my queer moment.
Who else? Who else has got one?
For me, it was the Game of Thrones premiere, because that was major fantasy storytelling done on TV, which everyone across all culture started paying attention to fantasy in a way they hadn't before. And
so what was the queer part of it? Was it the part where not Cersei,
Baby
Danny
Baratheon?
gets fucked in the ass? I mean, well, where's the queer element in Game of Thrones? I'm asking only as a question because I have no idea.
Renly and his knight boyfriend.
Yes, thank you. I knew there was something. I just couldn't remember. Yeah,
the knight he was known as the Knight of Roses.
Yes, Loras.
Yes.
Renly,
oh my god, I love
Iron
Renly.
That was the guy who went on to play Iron Fist.
It was.
Oh my god, that was him.
Danny
I didn't
Rand.
think about that. Oh my god.
I still kind of like that show. So, I mean, y'all can at me, but I still kind of like Iron Fist. All right. It wasn't the worst of the Netflix shows.
Yeah, but
that was probably Defenders, but it's a very low bar. Very low bar.
Renly could have gotten it. We have Melody down here and on YouTube. You're right. Renly could get it 100% for me. I mean, others, I don't know. I'm not so big into Loras, but Renly, yes. So who else? BJ, you got one?
Actually,
Jared, Shira.
Yeah.
Oh.
Sorry to jump in.
Oh no, Shiro is probably the gayest thing I've seen in my life.
Oh yes, no,
Oh, yeah.
I bawled my eyes out in the series finale.
You know what? I went into that show being like, I want to be Catra, and then I went to be like, no, I want to be Double Trouble. Double Trouble is who I want to be more than anything in that show.
Shadow Weaver's me, so.
Of course, you're Shadow Weaver.
Absolutely.
BJ, what you got?
Oh, for me, honestly, I think it's got to be just within the past couple years. The Legends of Tomorrow, because they've never shied away from their queer element. They went full balls to the walls with Sarah and her bisexuality, and they went full on with Constantine's bisexuality, and they were never shy about it. And then in that same vein, I'm gonna pilfer something Eric just threw up. Steven Universe as well. So television in general has been very queer inclusive within the past 3-4 years, and none of the stories have suffered from it. Like Jared said with She-Ra, TV's gay. It's gay,
so gay,
and it's not changing anytime soon.
We haven't talked about it because we haven't done a weekly or monthly or whatever roundup. But has everybody seen the Blues Clues Pride Parade that Nina West sang?
I did. Yes, I was.
My God, if you have not, and we'll post a link up on the Facebook if we haven't already. This is the most inclusive Pride Parade I think I've ever been to, much less that I've ever seen depicted. And it is a kids show on PBS, is my understanding of where
Nickelodeon.
No,
it's Nickelodeon?
Nickelodeon.
Yeah, that's Nick Jr. too. That's their block of programming for 3-year-olds to 8-year-olds.
Well, and I will say this. I mean, Blue's Clues has been on for years. Mm-hmm. I think I did my 20th birthday party as Blue's Clues themed. That's how fucking old the show is. Yeah, I was also that person. Let me just say, because I fucking love Blue. All right, but Blue's Clues, I will tell you this, it straight up has been one of the first kid-centric shows that said fuck gender norms and blue for boys and pink for girls, because Blue is a girl, and then they brought on Magenta, who I think is Blue's sister as well, and is a girl, or Blue's brother, and is a pink dog, but it's a whole stripping away of the whole pink and blue stereotype for gender, and that's 20 fucking years. Blue's been around for a hot minute and is amazing. So it does not surprise me that they would do something like this in the slightest bit. And the fact that Nina West is involved is even better. Nina is doing so much to help shape the future generation, the youngest generation right now, in doing the storytime readings digitally, in doing all of these promotions and these crossovers, working with Dolly Parton, and doing the Love is Kindness collaboration with Dolly, and all of these collabs that Nina is doing are phenomenal. So I can't wait to see it. I haven't had time, but it does not surprise me in the slightest.
No, it's definitely worth watching. Pat, do you have any specific thing? I know I was going to do Steven Universe if you or BJ did not, so I'm glad one of you did.
I am so horrible at trying to remember things. I can't remember what I watched. I think one of the biggest changes or biggest queer things in the pop culture zeitgeist, for better or worse, especially somewhat for the worse lately, has been Drag Race. Just because the absolute rise of drag into the mainstream, and maybe too far into the mainstream, has been incredible to see over the last 10 or 12 years. But on top of that, really a show that has subtle queer undertones to it is The Good Place. And that was something that when it premiered, Oral was all about, and I know we hadn't watched it at that point, and then we started kind of binging the first couple of episodes that were out. I think the first 4 or 5 that were out, and it became probably my favorite show in the last 5 or 6 years, to the point where I will uncontrollably sob during the finale. Like, it is just so incredibly powerful and moving, for a show to really hinge on like real morality and real morality issues and discussion and philosophers, and to have that kind of queer undertone with Eleanor and Tahani, which is the absolute cutest thing in the world. Because first of all, Kristen Bell, fucking everything. She's amazing. She's adorable and just like exudes the most amazingness, like just this energy and this aura about her. And then Jamila Jamil, who eventually came out as part, I believe, is pansexual, as part of the LGBT community, and had like just has this way about her. And for that to be her first acting role, she was brilliant as Tahani. And then to see her like come into doing Legendary and being a driving force behind getting that show produced and put on screen, and now in its second season with some really spotty judging, and apparently this last episode really bad judging according to my Twitter thread and my Twitter feed. But I haven't watched it, so I can't speak on that just yet. But
my favorite line from The Good Place will always be the simple when Eleanor looks at Chidi and she goes, "You're bisexual, aren't you?" And he goes, "No." She's like, "It's 20." She's like, "It's 2018." She's like, "Be bisexual. What's wrong with you?" And I was like the bisexual visibility on that show is everything to me, because like I have friends who are bi and they don't feel that represented in the community, and that show made them feel so loved, and just the comedy around it was just so well done. You know, just the moments where she's just like, hold on, I legit might be into Tahani. I'll have to come back to that at some point. You know,
and, I mean, one of her afterlives, because I think it was season 2, the opening of season 2, where Michael is resetting it like 800 more times or 813 more times, and it goes through the cycle of like who her soulmate is, and one of them is Tahani, and it's like, that's exactly where I needed to be. Could we just stop there? I wanted to see like some flashbacks of that, you know, afterlife. But can I throw this? Can I throw something out there that is maybe, we don't need to necessarily dive into it completely, but because it is Pride Month, now that we are gaining more understanding of the fluidity and the less binariness of gender, and you know, as Sasha Velour instructed us, gender is a construct, and we must tear it apart. Do we think it might be time to switch out the B in our acronym to the P, as in pansexual, to just kind of incorporate that fluidness versus the binary? Because when you say bisexual, you're just saying it as a gender binary, where pansexual is anywhere on that spectrum, and the attraction to the person, not the gender. It's just something that I have been thinking about in the last couple of days, and
that's a really interesting insight, and I had never thought about that. But honestly, the bi versus pan distinction is sort of like complicated, and like you have to really unpack all the, you know, whatever. But I think that's a very valid change. I don't know who we petitioned this for, but
I mean, I'm going to put this out. If you're listening out there and you consider yourself bi, it's not an attack. It's not a matter of me trying to be like, well, what you identify as is invalid. But it's just, it was something that I thought was curious, because we are kind of growing in our understanding of the world and people in general. And I'm like, so, I mean, a person who is bi technically falls into the pansexual spectrum, because they're attracted to both ends of this spectrum, but that also incorporates what, you know, pansexual person is. They just maybe find attraction in more shades of that you know, that spectrum. So I figured, you know, maybe it's something to chew on and think about as we, you know, move into Pride Month, and make sure that we embrace the members of our community who do consider themselves either bisexual or pansexual, because they are members of our community and deserve to be at Pride and celebrate Pride just like the rest of us.
Joshua, what do you have?
Well, I don't have a way to like take down the system of that.
Why not?
We're crashing the system, like Mick told us to do.
Yeah, what's your favorite thing in the past 10 years? And he's like,
Tearing down the patriarchy.
Yeah.
That's my favorite thing.
I'm going to try and not be a downer when I say this, but actually, probably the biggest, most significant moment in the past 10 years for me was finally getting a gay character in Star Wars. And it was only for like 1 second, a blink and you miss it kiss that was edited out in some foreign versions. And then I think that same couple, that lesbian couple, were holding hands in the background in another shot. And that's like all we got, which is honestly insulting. But, you know, at the same time, as you know, we've mentioned Drew Leinen a couple times. And, you know, he was, you know, my best friend, and he was one of the people killed at Pulse. And he was on the show. We've talked about that a couple times. So as we're reflecting on these 10 years of Flame On, he's a very special part of that to me, that he came on and talked about Star Wars. And I think he came on for another episode as a guest to talk about Doctor Who, I think it was. And yeah. And but no, a big thing he and I always talked about was queer representation in media. And we always asked ourselves, like, will we ever get it in Star Wars? And his joke was always, well, we have C-3PO and R2-D2. And they're in every movie. So there's always that. But, you know, for as little as it was to get that tiny little kiss in Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker in episode 9, you know, it did mean a lot to me. And I broke down and cried in the theater just because I thought it would never happen. And, you know, and just personally, it had meant so much to me and Drew to, like, you know, I wish he could have, you know, been around to see it. But yeah, that's always been special to me. And now my argument is, you know, Star Wars is like the biggest franchise maybe like ever, you know. And if they can have a gay character, then why can't your movie or show or story or whatever? There's no excuse.
No, because you're right. Star Wars went from this sort of cultural phenomenon that was just Lucas to Disney-owned cultural phenomenon that is Disney. And it the fact that they did anything at all was like, okay, it's great. But like I said, like you said, I cried. I had a moment. I was like, oh my God. And mostly because of Drew and his memory. I mean, he didn't just do the episode. He did the album art for that episode. I still have that picture.
Yeah. I love that so much. I love that so much.
It means the world to me. And, you know, when Pulse happened, which is coming up on its, what, 5 years?
Fifth anniversary, yeah.
I mean, Pat and I like just were horrified and just in shock, just sitting there watching the news, and mostly because Drew's mother was so front and present in the interviews, just desperate to find out any news of everything. So I mean, that whole everything around Drew and Star Wars and Pulse and just it all is such a nexus for me as well. So you know, is it enough? No. And do we want more? Yes. But over the last 10 years, I can say clearly there has been a progression, even if we've had a little bit of a regression with the Trump era. You look at like Steven Universe as sort of a midpoint almost, and that didn't just push queer representation in like the gay and lesbian. It went bi, pan, NB, trans, the whole nine, and just threw gender out the window. And that was such a huge moment that I have to, you know, say that to me, that's one of the watershed moments of the last 10 years. But ever since, everything that has come of it, whether it's transparent, that was a big part of it, even if, you know, there's a little bit of an issue with the lead actor from that. Fun Home, Alison Bechdel's amazing personal story about growing up queer and then that becoming a Broadway hit musical. Another huge moment for us. Janelle Monáe, and Pat, I'm surprised you didn't mention your favorite. Yeah, you have tattoos of lyrics like Janelle as a very out queer performer. Push that envelope. Lil Nas X
as a free ass motherfucker.
Lil Nas X even more recently, and all the stuff that he's been doing, blowing up all of these representational things.
I'm so mad at her. She's phenomenal, and I'm breaking all these fucking boundaries. And that neck lick on SNL, fucking fierce. But I'm still mad at her.
Why are you mad?
She stole Mariah Carey's
oh my God
record for longest reign at number one. One Sweet Day from 1996.
I knew it was going to come back to Mariah Carey. It always
all
comes
the way
back
through.
to Mariah Carey.
I mean, she passed the torch, and I mean, if the Queen says so, that's fine. But I can still hold a grudge.
Having out performers in the country music space like Lil Nas X and Orville Peck, oh my God, those are huge for representation in that area, right? Much less our dear friends like Drake Jensen and Glenn Stewart, who have dabbled in, and Drake more so in country. Like, having those performers in those spaces is amazing.
And can you say Lil's name again?
Is it Lil Nas X? Lil Nas.
You say it so white, and I love it.
Listen, I've been working on my Japanese accent. I haven't had much chance to work on my non-white.
Now, Brian, because I always have to bring it back to this. Who was Oral's friend who came onto our podcast twice, whose name you could never remember? And it was fantastic because you called him every J name. You called him Jared. You called him Joshua. You called him Joey. You called him Jeff. And it was the best thing ever.
Yes, his friend Joseph, who's in Atlanta now.
Joseph is amazing. I follow him. We haven't chatted or whatever in a long time, but I love Joseph. But let me ask Joshua, because you appreciate this, Pat as well. Is it a personal nightmare for you to forget very basic facts about the person you're interviewing, including their name?
Then you invent reasons not to say their name.
That's my top-notch entertainment right there. Sit there and be like, oh, because you know what they're doing. Like, you've done it, and now you know what they're doing. So sometimes I will totally watch Brian, and I'll just sit there and be like, look at this bitch. Look at what he's doing.
Another great, to move away from me. Another great topic. Pose. Another great last 10 years, and they just wrapped their series up recently.
Did it finish?
It just the last episode came out. But Pose is amazing, and honestly, I'll go beyond Pose. I'll say Ryan Murphy, and again, there are some issues with whatever, but Ryan Murphy as a queer producer, writer, creator, showrunner, whatever, I mean, has produced some of the most consistently queer and amazing, like historically rooted, if not straight out historical, of shows in the last 10 years, even all the way back to Pose, American Horror Story, Scream, all of that. Like, so I will give Ryan Murphy that credit for sure.
Glee was a moment in time, and it has aged horribly.
Oh, well,
but
sure.
But I mean, when it was on, a lot of people
it was the foot in the door.
To that show. Yeah,
it was the foot in the door, and any producer and any creator is going to have missteps when you have a ledger that big. I mean, he's trying to get. I mean, he's almost the Shonda Rhimes of TV at this point. Honestly, he almost is. He's getting there, but like
different.
Just with the sheer number of shows that he's done and produced and directed, he's got his fingers in every pot, just like Shonda does.
He doesn't just make queer content; he brings in queer creators like Janet Mock. And I know there's at least one of his
J.
Yeah, and there's other.
But let's not talk about a little bit of a breakdown at the wrap party or the premiere party where it was. Where some of the behind the scenes stuff was being called out, which falls squarely on Mr. Ryan Murphy's shoulders. So, I mean, I will give him credit for maybe purchasing the rights or bringing these things forward, but I will give all of the credit to the people who actually create and produce and put the stuff out, because the stuff that he's responsible for tends to be shoddy as fuck. So
I don't agree with that at all, because Hollywood is one of he was very involved in Hollywood, which I think is still an amazing piece of art.
A broken clock is right twice a day, Brian.
Listen, what's the new one with Obi-Wan? The husband of
Halston.
Halston. I haven't finished it, but I really like Halston so far. So I'm just gonna say I'm going to give Ryan Murphy more credit than fault. I mean, not to say he has no fault. He has fault.
Have you watched American Horror Story?
American Horror Story, that's whatever. Like, this is whatever. Anyway, all I'm saying is yes. And thank you, Daniel. You're right. It's kind of one of those things when you just keep showing up. we have been there for so many milestones
Yep.
because we just don't know how to stop. So thank you for acknowledging that fault in our personality.
Thank you, not Rodolfo.
Yeah, not Rodolfo. Who did I miss? Did everyone share their queer moments? I mean, I kind of threw a bunch out. I don't know. I think we got it. But
Yeah,
what
I think
else?
we all
What
did.
else? Before we wrap, because
Brian, I actually did want to say when we were talking about names, we had mentioned this in passing, but remember when I first started the show, I went by The Question instead of my actual name, because at the time I worked in a very like conservative industry and was afraid, I don't know if my boss Google searched me and found the podcast and heard me saying these scandalous, geeky, gay things that I might, get fired or something. And that, but then yet everyone still just called me Josh. At least 70% of the time, anyways. I think there was one minute where I asked that the editor take care of that. I don't know I think was it you at the time, Brian? Yeah. The editor.
The editor will take that out in post. It's fine.
I think you put like a duck quack in every time somebody said Josh on accident, and there were so many duck quacks that eventually it was whatever, and we just kind of forgot about it.
I still missed one at the end or something.
But the reason I bring it up is that eventually I came around and realized that I don't really care what they think, and the consequences be damned, I'm going to be myself. Because I had come out, I was maybe a little later than most people, but when I was 19. But as far as like coming out in like a professional way, like publicly and like on the internet and stuff, it wasn't until that episode of Flame On where I finally said, hey everyone, I know I've been going by The Question to little success, but my actual name is Joshua Yale, and I want to put it out there. So that was like a big moment for me that happened on Flame On that I just wanted to share while we're reflecting.
I love that you had that commitment, and given that we both worked in the same industry, and I was sitting there like,
yeah,
but
I was so naive.
Really tried my best to not screw that up, and totally screwed that up so many more times. And you were very patient with us for that.
Yeah, it was fine. But one person actually still does call me Q to this day because he met me back then, which I find funny.
Really funny.
So yeah, before we get ready to kind of close things out, I do want to tell Brian and Pat, get those boxing gloves on, because I have come up with a episode of That's What I Call Gay Life, which has spun out of one of Jared's old projects, The Crown of Narcissus, that we were going to do. That we had done like 2 episodes of it.
We did like 4 or 5.
Yeah, we did like 4 or 5, but I've kind of spun a series called That's What I Call Gay Life out of it. And I definitely want to get into the meatier bits of representation and kind of the future of what we want to see a bit more, just because there are missteps, and sometimes a company, Disney, might be doing something, that they may think is progressive when it's really just somewhat coming off as superficial. But yeah, no, definitely, to hold on to those tonfa sticks, and we'll get into the ring together and toss some names.
I just to that I just want to say let's grab beers tonight, Queens. Just check Twitter and Bud Light.
I'm so bad about this. So
let's grab beers tonight, Queens. Let's grab beers tonight, Queens.
Oh, wow. There we go. I can get it.
It's one of their new Pride promotions, like their new Pride advertisements.
Lord. I would love for all of our listeners to like check out our new Patreon and really sort of keep up with the things that we're getting into coming up. I hope we do more of this kind of thing, even if it's not all, 7 of us or whatever. I am really excited about the new Patreon levels. I'm really excited about getting more queer and allied interviewers, performers, artists on the Rainbow Spotlight series. I am hoping that is going to get back to be a more regular thing that I get to do if I don't have, life pulling me in other directions. But I really thank all of you for being here with us, being together for the last 10 years in every form. And I say jokingly a lot of times that we just don't know how to stop doing this because, you know, we enjoy it, but we think it's going to do well. But I would love for more people to check this out because, again, we really have a fun time producing this for you guys. And it is a labor of love. We do not make money. Even the Patreon, if you think, oh, well, that's how you're getting your those dollar bills. It's like, no. Let me just tell you, Patreon does not pay for any of the really web hosting and content and certainly none of Pat's time, because as you probably know by now, you know, after the first 3 or 4 years, I don't even remember where the handoff was, but I was the editor and producer and doing all of the stuff, and now Pat has taken it on and doing it for most of that time. And that is like, gosh, hours and hours of his week that he does not get paid to do. So I want you to all
Just take however long the episode is and at least double it, and that's my time editing.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm expecting Pat to leave us for like Netflix or some other production company.
No, ATN is going to pick him up. That's what I feel like, Josh.
For the amount of producing he does, and like part of me's just like, oh, good for her, but then the other part of me is like, shit, I've got to do something now.
Yes, that's when Joshua left us. That was how I felt. I was like, oh, God damn it.
Well, I do want to give a shout out. We have a couple of last comments in there before we wrap up. Hi, Adam. Our friend Adam over in Orlando is not much of a comment, but he is showing that he is in the chat. And then Daniel, big props to BJ. That now that's what I call a gay life. I came up with the title, but BJ really is the mastermind behind that series, and I thank him for that. Because that has brought a lot of interesting and different conversations to the podcast that we probably wouldn't have had otherwise. Drag is the New Spandex, always an amazing time. The recaps when Oral and I and either like Eric or Brian would do the weekly ones for like All Stars 2 and 3. Ginger Minge becoming basically our honorary guest host because she did so many of those episodes with us. It just have been amazing. The interviews that we've done, phenomenal. And then Dita Ritz, both in actual Dita Ritz, who lives right down the street from me. I bought one of her pins, and she like, you know, the return address. I'm like, this is like 3 blocks from my house. Like she could have walked it over to me. I was like, I live in the same building as the Vixen. You could just drop it off if you need to. And our very own Dita bitch, Ms. Oral, she's around. She's been working her buns off. She might be flying away into the sky very soon. That might be happening, coming up very soon. So we're excited for her. But she has been making them coins and working like crazy. So I had a feeling he would not be here today, but we do love Oral and we do miss him. And you can find him on our Patreon in the A Sip of Tea. I have brand new episodes dropping in the next day or two when I get the chance to upload them.
Yeah, I'm hoping with Ginger going back on All Star 6, maybe we can rope her into doing some, even if it's not every episode, a couple like recap sort of things when that airs. And we're so excited for her. Obviously, we love all our favorite queens that we've interviewed over the years. Divine Grace and her and Gidget are doing some amazing work in Orlando. They're at Fringe Festival or the Golden Girls Live. Or Golden Gals Live. Yeah, Golden Gals, sorry. Beyoncé, if you're following Beyoncé Bear, she is doing this great drag cruise and is it the land, I guess? It's like up
Mount Dora. It's the Dora Queen, yeah.
Dora Queen. And for those of you who do not know, Beyoncé is probably the closest person I have to my drag mother. I did drag for Media Meltdown, and this is the first time I've really mentioned it on this platform. Leona Theremin is my drag name, and there is a video out there. If it's not easily found, let us know and we'll hook you up. It is
fantastic.
It was quite a lovely experiment. I hope to do more with Leona very soon. Maybe even performing, in person. We'll see. With Seattle opening up and some possible things. But anyway, Flame On has done so much for all of us in different weird ways that I really appreciate all of you being part of that and keeping this show alive. Thank you, all listeners too, and watchers and viewers.
Before you sign us off, Brian, Josh, Jeff, Jared, who do we lose?
BJ.
Oh, BJ just bounced out. Why don't y'all tell us where our listeners, watchers, fans, followers can find you on social media if they do not follow along? since you're not on our regular, monthly podcasts.
Yes, let's start with Joshua.
Hello. Yes, you can find me on Twitter at Joshua Yale. Last name is not spelled how it sounds. It's Y-E-H-L. Don't ask me why. Also, I'm just getting into Instagram. I know it's like 10 years late, but it's Joshua _ Yale over there. Hit me up, follow me. And then, of course, you can also find all the work I do for my job on IGN.com. And I, creatively write, host, and produce a new show, The Entertainment Fix, where we talk about what the big, much like on Flame On, the big nerdy news that's happening, Marvel, DC, Star Wars, all that good stuff. So come say hello and check me out. Thanks. Bye. Love you.
I love anytime you put out.
Thank you.
Anytime there's a new segment, anytime there's a new YouTube video, I've subscribed to IGN, and every time I see your beaming face on there, I'm so proud and so happy, and it just fills me with such joy to see you doing all these amazing things, and I love it, and I hope you keep doing it forever and ever, and you keep meeting cool people. So.
Thank you, and I owe so much to you, so thank you, Brian.
Jeff, what about you?
I mean, I don't really exist on social media in any kind of professional capacity.
You're doing a podcast, maybe?
Sometimes I'm flirting with I'm flirting with the idea of a podcast. How about that? I have some initial like performance episodes, but not ready for the light of day. So yeah, if you're friends with me, if you're related to me, then you know where to find me. If not, it's probably for the best.
It's a very healthy, modern way to look at it. Jared, what about you?
Oh, I'm not as active on social media as of late. I still post to Instagram every once in a while, and so I go by Sketchforge, and that's all one word.
I really enjoy when you do put out new sketches and seeing again how far you have come and evolved as an artist. It's pretty cool.
Yes.
And I'm excited. I know you do a lot of projects that people will never know you for, but I think you do some amazing work. And I hope that continues. And it's probably more lucrative. And
I will say though that I am on one project right now that once I'm able to talk about it, I won't shut up about it.
Awesome. And then we'll do our cast. We'll start with BJ. Where are you at on the socials and the Twitches and all the things? Well, BJ is figuring out his camera. Eric, what about you?
Well, as far as on socials, I don't really post anything of note, but certainly follow my Twitch, and one day I will premiere there. It's generic with a K _games. There, the link's right there on your screen right now, and you'll be there from the start.
You should subscribe to Eric's Twitch so he has a financial incentive to go live soon. BJ, did you figure out you good now?
More or less. I'm on my phone now. I don't know. Our internet's being wonky today. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah. Where are you at on the social?
Pull the mic away from your face.
Oh yeah. Don't swallow the mic. Where are you at on the socials?
So I'm on Twitter at BJ's Brain Stuff. On twitter.com. I am PupBJ on Twitch. And other than that, I usually manage the Flame on social media. So a good chunk of the time, it's me. I'm the one that's making all the jokes and throwing stuff at you.
It's all in lowercase. It's him. If it's uppercase or has some sense of grammar, it's probably one of us either fixing it or...
It's something I probably typed at a stoplight because I just realized. So
I appreciate it, though. Honestly, Pat and I, other than the two of us, and then Joshua way back, it has been hard to find people to stay on top of the socials. And Oral dabbled with Twitter for a while, but you've definitely been cranking out some good content. So I appreciate that. Pat, what about you?
I am Pat _DaBear, DABEAR on just about everything. I'm also Bears _ in the city on most social media platforms. My link tree is linktr.ee /Bears in the city, or linktr.ee /Pat DaBear. And that has all the links to my socials, and both business and personal. And I'm on Twitch as well, Bears in the City and Pat DaBear. You can find all of our Twitch links on our website, flameonshow.com. And there is a link tree, bit.ly/Flame On Show that has all of that same link information that you would find on flameonshow.com, all in one handy dandy link tree. And you can watch me on Wednesday nights do Digital Game Night. And I think I'm going to start streaming my first ever run through of Super Mario Galaxy. I'm toying with that idea as my Twitch my Twitchness, and like getting into actually like playing games on Twitch instead of just hosting game night. You know,
I love that. It's really a lot of fun to watch gamers. I never thought it would be as exciting, but I've definitely gotten more into it and done some myself. And I know BJ does that creepy fucking weird game that I can never stand.
But I gave you nightmares. I see how it is.
You do. It's true. So I also am on Twitch. Some of you may be watching it on my Twitch channel, Flame on Brian. I do Monday Rainbow Spotlights with queer creators. This coming Monday, we have Zan Christensen from Northwest Press to talk about Pride and Northwest Press's history and Zan's work and sort of some of the cool stuff he's getting back into and sort of restarting with his podcast that he's done for a long time with different interviews. So that'll be great. That's Monday at 6:00 Pacific, 9:00 Eastern. Flame on Brian at Twitch. And I also occasionally dabble with some Japanese language learning stuff and occasionally Final Fantasy and Fortnite, because why not? You know, I like playing video games too. So Flame On Show, again, is on all these socials are on our website, flameonshow.com. Please go check us out. The Patreon, we really hope, and it's, thankfully now that the economy is maybe doing better and people are working, whatever. If you've got a few extra dollars, even if it's the most basic level, check out that's SoundCloud. That's telling me. So Patreon.
We didn't want to interrupt.
Patreon.com/FlameOnShow. We're really, it really helps pay the bills and keep us comfortably able to do this show, which I hope you guys appreciate. And we really do. Thank you for checking us out and listening and being a part of this. This is really special. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And we'll be back in very soon on your podcast feeds and on all these socials with more stuff. So, until then, flame on. Oh, no, not that. All right, take care, everyone.
Bye.
Bye, guys.